2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16. All scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. These are probably the best known words of this letter. The statement about the inspiration and the value of scripture. The phrase all scripture is same as the sacred writings from the previous verse. In the context of Paul's time, it meant the books of the Old Testament. But in the course of time, the Christian church came to see that other books also should be regarded as having the status of sacred writings, namely the books of our New Testament. And naturally, the statement here about the books of the Old Testament applies equally to the books of the New Testament as well. When Paul says all scripture is breathed out by God, it simply means that what we read in the Bible comes from God. The Bible is God's message, every word from Genesis to Revelation. It could be a passage that we may not like. Nevertheless, all scripture or every scripture is inspired or breathed by God. We may not have an absolute explanation of how inspiration works. It is clear that the books of the Bible are also human writings. Each book was written in a language familiar to the writer and readers, and within a specific historical and cultural context. There is no hint that the books were produced through some sort of divine direct dictation, except for some sections such as the words of the Ten Commandments. Nevertheless, even if we do not understand the exact process, every book of the Bible is God's book, bearing a sovereign message and the words which He intended sovereignly. That is why the whole of both Testaments must be studied, not just Romans, not just the narratives of the Old Testament or just the Gospels, but the entire Scripture. Paul then gives 4 reasons how the Scripture is profitable. It is for teaching, reproof, correction, and for training. We will look at them tomorrow. Have a blessed day.